Hey y'all, welcome back to the Neat Disciples. My name is Philip. This is Jeremy. Thanks for joining us today. Last episode, we started off a three-part series talking about the life of Joseph. Joseph's story is one of my favorite stories in the Bible. There's just so much contained in that about, God's favor, God's grace, and being faithful. So I just really like that. And in the first part, we kind of led off. He was 17 years old, started having dreams. His brothers were super jealous, and they sold him into slavery instead of killing him. So they did him a favor, didn't kill him.
But told Dad that he was dead.
Told Dad he was dead, right? So that brings us to part 2 of the series. Well, we'll pick up in Genesis 39. In verses 2 through 6, the Lord was with Joseph, so he succeeded in everything he did as he served. Well, actually, hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. So in verse 1 of that, it talks about him being sold to Potiphar, who was captain of the Pharaoh's guard.
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Kind of got ahead of it.
Right.
There. Yeah. But then the Lord.
So he's been sold to a pretty high up official in Pharaoh's.
Yes.
Court.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was sold to. He was his chief, head guy, right? His head.
I think.
Commander?
Yeah. He. Well, I think the part that you got ahead. So a couple verses, I think it says what the Lord was with him. I'm gonna get back to that in a minute.
Yeah.
But the Lord was with him, and Potiphar saw that the Lord was with him, which I think is an interesting detail. Saw that the Lord was with him, and then because of that, entrusted basically his life to him. I mean, it's what it sounds like. His household, his finances,
whole household,
everything. Just it was now entrusted to Joseph's care.
Yep. Yeah. And that's where that Genesis 39 2 through 6 talks about it. He saw he was favored, and Potiphar was pleased. He gave him all of the administrative details, and it goes to say that all Potiphar had to do is just worry about what he's going to eat.
I did say that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, man,
to have that be your main concern in life, right?
No doubt.
Yeah.
It was good to be Potiphar at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Joseph, he and I would have to assume that not only was the Lord with him, but Joseph probably put a lot of work and effort into what he did. So if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it excellent, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to do it the best I can.
Yeah, no doubt that Joseph, probably was he was a young man of integrity and was going to do a good job. I mean, you don't get entrusted with all these things without doing that, which is probably one way, at least in Joseph's context, one way that he showed that the Lord was with him. But I want to hover, if we could, around this idea of the Lord being with Joseph. Like you, this is one of my favorite biblical accounts because in ministry, well, not even in ministry, and just in the Christian faith, it's hard. It's hard to live in this world, right? I mean, it's hard. Whether you're a Christian or not, it's hard. And I think a lot of people come to faith hoping that the difficulties of life would go away. And unfortunately, I think there are some people, maybe in prominent people of faith, that do say such a thing in not so many words. And so here we have a young man who's been sold into slavery by his brothers, and we're told, and the Lord is with him. And and it's great, and I believe the Lord's with him, of course. But I want to let's not just brush over that. If all we know about Joseph to this point is he was sold by his brothers, his dad thinks he's dead, he's been sold now to a man in Egypt, and we're immediately told, and the Lord's with him. Does it sound like the Lord's with him? Right? I mean,
No.
Right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
I believe he is. I mean, because that's the way God, no doubt. But man, where? Right? He was sold into slavery. Where is he? And we're told multiple times through this account that the Lord is with him. I'm going to jump ahead. He's ended up in prison. And we're told there, the detail, and the Lord's with him. Really? Mm-hmm. So to me, I mean, this it humanizes the story for me, and at least for me, and I can relate to it. I mean, I've never been sold. I've never been to Egypt. I've never been imprisoned. But we all have difficulties in life, our own challenges, things that we have to overcome, and that maybe cast doubts in our lives, things that we have to look at and figure out how we're going to do this. And I think we sometimes do forget that the Lord is with us. And this is just a good reminder that even when he was sitting in a prison cell, even when he was sitting, however he got, in this train of people going from where he was sold to Egypt, and then for however that ended up sold to Potiphar, that the Lord was with him. And that is just such a humanizing aspect of this that I find so easily to relate to, because I look back on 50 plus years of life, 30, almost 40 of those, well, 30 of those in ministry, maybe as you look back on the events of your life and to see the hardships and the things that you've had to overcome, or maybe even still deal with as a result of some of that, but can see that, man, God was with. I didn't know it at the time. If you'd have asked me if he was there, I probably would have said, I don't know. But as I look back, he was definitely there, because from there I went to there, from there I went to there, from there I went to there. And he was with me all along the way, on the good and the bad. And that's just such a, I don't want to gloss over that the Lord's with him. That is such a important, at least for me, an important thing to grab onto, that there are people out there struggling and suffering and having challenges in life. And I just don't want them to think that just because life is hard, that God is not with them. That God doesn't promise everything goes our way. He promises to be with us, even when they don't. And I want people to hear that. It was a profound realization in my walk, and I think that could be a profound realization in other people's walks, that God is with us even in the darkest of moments. Yeah. And don't give up hope.
Yeah. So. Well, like you said, even though it may not feel like it, people cry out, God, where you at, and why this and why that. And, to go back to a previous episode when we talked about God's will, and we talked about this, maybe it's not God's will to make people suffer, but, we live in an evil world. We live in a hard world, and in these times where you could be sold, just scooped up and sold into slavery, like, I couldn't imagine that. No. Like, not in America right now. I know it happens in parts of the world, but I know it happens here too, but just not to this extent. But to go through that, and just your life get flipped upside down. It was a cruel back then. It was a cruel life, and we deal with cruelties today. But yeah, no, I mean, I definitely agreed more than 100% that we have to get that fact that God is with him. And, there's been a lot of times in my life where I'm like, where are you, God? I know he's there. Yeah. It may not seem like
I've cried out to him. I'm sure people watching can maybe say, yep, maybe you're crying out to him now. And, I think an aspect of the Joseph story that is just so fascinating to me is that even when nothing's going right for him at this moment. Yeah. Right? I mean, he's away from home. Yeah. Well, I mean.
To the time of getting sold, like getting kidnapped by his brothers and then getting sold into slavery. I mean, point.
Yeah, well, he's going through a crummy situation, and the best is coming of it, I guess, right? But he's still not living at home. He's been sold by his brothers. He's a slave, so he's owned by somebody. He can't just go home. He's he doesn't have that freedom. So nothing is going right for him, and yet we're told the Lord is with him. Yep. And I think that's just let's not lose sight of that. Because God is with us even when all hell is breaking loose.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like I was saying, the Lord being with him in that he's kind of got the better part of a bad situation.
No doubt.
By being head of such a high-ranking official's household. I mean, he could be out in the field, plowing the field, right? Not taking care of administrative duties. Like
he's in an air-conditioned office. No, but yeah.
When was air-conditioned? I don't think by that time.
Yeah, I mean, your point is a good point, that in this crummy situation, he is prospering. But it's still a crummy situation.
Yeah.
But we don't want to fast forward too far to the end of the story. Right. But God is doing what God does. And when God's with us, God is doing what God does. Yeah. And so,
I think the whole point, and you alluded to it, is that he is still not free to do as he pleases.
He's a slave.
He is a slave. He is not free. And I mean, oh my gosh, you talk about life imitating today back then. Like, how many things today are we a slave to that we're not free in a lot of ways, even though we live in America and the land of the free. But how many things kind of hold us captive to where we're not free? Debt, relationships, things like that. I mean, shoot, we could spend this.
Well, Paul would say we're our sins we're slaves to sin.
Oh,
right?
100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's in a pretty good situation there. He's favored, and Potiphar is treating him well. Now we move on to a few verses later. Says he was a very handsome, well-built young man, and he's in his probably early 20s by this point. Worked in the fields before, and then Potiphar's wife started to have a thing for him, and
kind of fancies him a little
fancied him, yeah. And then invited him to come sleep with her, and he flat refused. He's like, "Hey, look, my master trusts me with everything. No one here has more authority than me. He's held back nothing except you. How could I do something like that to him? Not only against him, but it would be a great sin against God."
Yep, that's another kind of important point there, to where had Joseph accepted the invitation, and it would have been a sinful, experience, of course. We're told here that the sin would not been against any individuals there. He's saying, I would have been sinning against God. So God is not actively a part of, this potential hookup.
Right.
But had it happened, Joseph would understand, I'm sinning against God in doing this. So when we sin, God is the offended party. People can get hurt through our sin, ourselves or others, but ultimately God is the offended party.
Yep.
Because He's the good God, He's the just God.
Correct.
And Joseph is kind of giving us a peek into that if I do this, I'd be sinning against God.
Right. Yep. No, and that again, that's one of those things that's important to get in this story. That he could have easily done it and probably would have never got caught, and God would have still known about it.
Yeah. What's interesting is we know that God is with him because the author is telling us that God was with him. Does Joseph know that God is with him? Because in Joseph's mind, he's been sold. He's he's far away from home. He's a slave. He's got no freedom. So, what's going through his mind when Potiphar's? Well, we know a little bit, obviously, when Potiphar's wife is throwing herself at him. Is he going like, well, the Lord's with me, so I'm not going to mess that up? Or he could have been thinking like, man, nothing has gone right. Like, this is terrible. This is awful here. Finally, somebody, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
Right?
I would think that he would know that.
Huh?
I would think that he would understand that God was with him, because he, kind of fast forward, he does pray to God on.
Well, he's definitely a righteous man, because his decision ultimately is, I'm not going to do this. It's going to be a sin against God. So he's definitely a righteous man. So good for him, of course. But, we look back on some of our difficulties and think, again, in hindsight, being 2020, I go, I can see where God was with me. But then you're going through it, you're crying out, God, where are you? And so I don't know, maybe, this is speculative at this point, but we know God is with him because
we're told.
The author is saying, and the narrator is telling us this, but Joseph doesn't hear that. So is he convinced that God is with him at this point? It's just, we don't know. It's just an interesting.
I would like to think that he did, especially just that he did well in everything that he did. But again, back to, if you put in 100% effort, and we talked about this, no matter whatever your job is, that you do that for the glory of God.
Yeah.
So I would like to think that whatever he did, slave in Potiphar's house, and we fast forward to the next part of the story. In that situation, he's doing it because that's where he's at. Hey, I got this job. I'm going to do it for the glory of God.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So then right after that, he basically was like, nope, not going to do it. She took his robe. She grabbed his robe as he ran off and screamed to the servants and, got all over Potiphar. You brought this Hebrew in here and he tried to sleep with me. And how could this happen? So Potiphar got mad and threw him in jail.
False accusation.
Yes, false accusations. So threw him in prison with the king's prisoners, and that's where he remained.
And we're told
he's Lord's with Joseph.
The Lord's again. Now he's falsely imprisoned.
Yep.
And the Lord is with him.
Still with him.
And it's just still fascinating.
Yep.
That.
Well, that's one of my favorite stories.
Yeah, mine too. It's just fascinating and that the narrator, the author, makes it a point, and the Lord is still with him. So even though nothing is really going right, he's doing well, yes, in his job, but nothing is going right. Like it's the payoff is, is slavery. The payoff is lack of freedom. The payoff is prison. So sometimes even doing the right thing, we got to stand up and do the right thing, even if it ends in prison. Horrible circumstances.
Yeah, and it goes on to say that the Lord's with him. Lord showed him favor and love, and of course he made Joseph a favorite with the warden. The warden put Joseph in charge of all the other prisoners and over everything that happened in the prison. So here he is, rising back to the top.
But then he's forgotten.
Then he is forgotten. Yeah. So.
But the Lord's with him. I know I keep going back to that, but it just to me it just kind of shows the upside down aspect of kind of the kingdom. And I really do want people to understand that even if things aren't going well with you today, God is with you, and I think that's part of what the author here wants us to hear, that God is with Joseph in the good times and in the prison. And this is the same God that we worship today.
Yeah. And then, to kind of fast forward to where he got forgotten, and he's in prison, and the Pharaoh threw his chief cupbearer and a chief baker into jail with him, and they had some dreams they didn't understand, and Joseph translated those dreams. Well, they both came true. One got out, and one got executed.
They both got out.
They both got both got out, but they both did not live.
In 3 days, they both got out, but one died. The baker didn't make it.
Yep. Yeah, he must have made a bad cake or something.
Something. Bad batch of sourdough.
Pharaoh must have been a real picky eater. But yeah, I mean, he was forgotten again. But he's in prison now, and he's favored, and he succeeded at everything he did. And there's a couple points that I want to make sure we're clear on, and you made the first one abundantly clear. No, that's fine, and I think we can't get past that. Is the Lord is with you. Like once you have accepted Jesus as your Lord and Savior, and you are living for Him, and that the Lord is with you. Now you can turn away from Him, but the Lord is still with you. Good times, bad times, and I think we forget a lot of times in bad times that the Lord is with us, and I think in the good times we sometimes forget as well. Like, oh, everything's good, and look how great it is, and I'm doing so great, and then it's like, well, wait a minute, who do we need to thank for that?
Right.
God has blessed you in those things, so I think it's important to do that.
And sometimes I think we interpret doing well as having received God's favor, versus when things aren't going well, we've lost His favor. And God can choose to bless whomever He wants. I think that's clear in Scripture. But by and large, through Christ, God's favor is upon us through Christ. So whether things are going well or not, God's favor is upon us.
Yep.
In Christ. Now, to your point, we can reject that, but there's even a debate as to when you reject that, what happens. But this is not that podcast. But the favor of God for us is through Christ. So let's be careful not to interpret that God is with us only when good things are happening.
Right.
Because the nature of life is there's good and bad. People are going to die. We get sick. We lose our job. We get caught up in other people's stupid decisions.
Yeah.
And I think this is why it's important that we do trust God, because the things of the world are hateful and hurtful and disappointing and chaotic, and won't always make sense, if ever. But in God, there's hope, and there's peace, and there's joy in the midst of all of that. And that's all found through Christ and the work of the cross and the knowledge of the resurrection and eternity. And I think that's where this kind of points us. So, sorry.
No. That's
preachery.
Yeah, no, that's all right. You preach, gonna preach, man. But I think too, another part of this story that jumps out at me is that him fighting that temptation, And us as men have to understand that we're going to face these temptations in life, and we've got to make sure that we stand firm, because as we talked about a while ago, we're not only sinning against an individual that we may hurt here, but we're sinning against God as well, right? And those temptations are going to get more and more the higher you rise, right? So he's a slave, and he becomes, head of Potiphar's household, and the wife's like, oh, well, yeah, he's, I've got a fancy for this young man right now, and you're going to deal with that in life. The more successful you are, the more things, the more you're blessed, the more people are going to take notice of that, whether it's a man or a woman, right? That, you're going to find that people are going to want to tempt you, or things are going to tempt you, and it's important to not, succumb to that.
Yeah, and Joseph does show us a great, in what he does say, and I'm not going to do this because the offense would be God's, it's a summary of that, but he just shows us kind of a powerful way, or an example of doing the right thing for the right reason.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we can even go into 1 Corinthians 10:13, or 12 and 13. If you think you're standing strong, be careful not to fall. Temptation is in your life. The temptations in your life are no different from what others experience, and God is faithful. He will not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. When you are tempted, he will show you a way out that you can endure. And man, if that ain't truth, I don't know what is.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think this is actually the verse where a lot of people take out of context, that God will never give you more than you can handle.
Yeah.
That's not what this is saying. This is about temptation, and that God will provide a way out. And this is also reminiscent of what Genesis 4, the Cain and Abel story, where brother kills brother, and is told, you have the murderer. You have to. Sin is crouching at your door, at your heart, and you must master it, or because it wants to have you. That's even an interesting point. That sin is something we can master over. That we don't have to give into it.
Yep.
We can, but we don't have to. Just because it's there doesn't mean we have to. That's what Paul's saying too, in a way. That just, hey, temptation is temptation. You don't have to cave into it.
Yep.
And there's a way to not, and that's through faith.
Correct. Yeah, and God was going to give us a way out. There's always a way out. There's always an exit. You just got to notice it and take it.
Yeah.
Can't go past that exit.
And choose it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. You have to choose to do that. And then in Proverbs 4:23, it says, "Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life." So if you're poisoning your heart, then you're going to have more problems than you want to deal with.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big chunk of story.
Big chunk of story.
Yeah, with Joseph, and there's more. We'll continue in the third one, but again, I think that the couple of things, like I said, that if we take three things out of it: God's with us, resist temptation, and then guard our hearts, because that's what's going to lead us through life.
Yeah, and that's ultimately, God says He looks at the heart, right? And He promises us in Ezekiel 36, 37, 38, around there, where, part of the new covenant is He's going to take the heart of stone and replace it with a heart of flesh, a new heart, through Christ, through the Holy Spirit, a new heart. The old is gone, the new has come. That type of all that Paul would go on to say later. And so the heart is what matters. That's what Jesus was talking about in the Sermon on the Mount, is all the heart condition of the heart. That's why you could say, if you just look at somebody lustfully, you've already committed adultery, because it's in the heart. So those are examples of that. So it's the heart. Guarding your heart is no joke. That is a incredibly important encouragement.
Yep.
Guard your heart.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on this?
I talked enough.
All right.
Yeah, I talked enough.
All right. Well, right now, hey, we just want to encourage you that if you're facing anything, to just remember that God is with you. Keep praying. Definitely reach out to us if you need us to pray for you, or you want to share anything with us as far as how you've faced some trials that like Joseph did, and as men, I know that we've all faced a bunch of trials, and that's again why I really like the Joseph story. So definitely reach out. So right now we're going to move in a time where we're going to try a little bit of bourbon. So that's not your thing, we thank you for tuning in. We hope to see you in part 3 in the next couple of weeks, where we finish up the story of Joseph.
Yeah. God bless everybody.
All right, y'all. We're going to recap part of our Kentucky trip from last year. We went to a distillery that we didn't really know about, but I much too far before the trip, but I knew I wanted to go, and it's called Whiskey Thief. And it was probably one of my favorite stops on the trip.
Yeah, agreed. Like you, I'd heard of it, didn't know much about it. In fact, when we pulled up there, I thought, it's a lot smaller than I expected it to be. But it was a cool stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's outside of Frankfurt, and here's a picture of the barn. I didn't get a picture of the outside of the barn. We were itching to get in there.
I probably did.
It was kind of early, but when you walk in the building, you check in. There's this huge pot still, and here's the pot still that's in the front. I think all their stuff's done in these pot stills, yeah. And it's just a big warehouse that you walk into with all the barrels and everything. And here's another shot of the pot still. From a different angle. You probably took that picture. Maybe Wayne took that picture.
I don't know.
Great picture of the pot still. I love the pot stills. But then when you go towards the back, you can get a tasting, and then they'll thieve the bourbon right out of the whiskey right out of the barrel. Well, you do.
That's the cool thing.
Well, yeah. When you do the tasting, they do it. They
that's right. That's right. Yes.
Yeah. So you get a little.
Yes.
You get a little glass, and I've still got my glass.
I didn't bring it, but I
should have busted that out for my for the tasting today. But yeah, you get a little glass, then they thief it out, and they give you a little bit, and I mean it's pulling charcoal out too, because it's straight out of the barrel. They're not filtering it.
And there's a chart like off to the side.
Yeah,
that's telling you what's in the barrel, how long it's been there, what proof. Yeah, even the mash bill, if I remember right.
I've actually got that up here too.
Yeah, there you go.
Here's what they had available for us that day. So we tried the 5, and you could pick whether or not you want to bottle it or not. You thief it right out of the barrel. So I ended up with one, and then Jeremy got a little baby bottle. And then somebody else got one too. I think Mark got a bottle of it too.
Someone else did, but there's quite the price discrepancy between these two, which is why one of us was already getting phone calls from his spouse. So.
We're not going to mention any names, but I couldn't pass it up, and yeah, it was quite pricey.
Well, I couldn't either, obviously. But yeah, I just chose to
the smaller,
pass it up smaller,
the cheaper version. But yeah, I mean, not too often you get to thief it out of the barrel.
Exactly right.
Fill your own bottle, so it was really fun.
And we're that was August, right?
It was August.
So we're 5-6 months out, and so the phone call is gone, and so now it's all good. It's a happy story.
It's a happy story. Yeah. So I want to show just a couple little clips of us there. So here's the first one.
Really cool. You got the reviews, huh? Good. Getting pictures? Recording? You got cheers here.
That is really good. Does not drink like 115 proof. Really good stuff.
Looks like bourbon.
It does. Hey, Jeremy.
What does it look like?
Looks like bourbon. Looks like bourbon, yeah.
That's what you want in your bourbon. You want it to look like bourbon. You want to start at least looking like bourbon.
And it tastes like bourbon.
It tastes like bourbon. That's really good.
That does not drink like 115.
That is
Such
wisdom
right there.
We ought to put that on a T-shirt for sure. You can't find that T-shirt on our Etsy shop.
I still maintain, though, you want your bourbon to look like bourbon.
You do.
That is a big deal.
You do.
Yeah.
So that was really fun getting to thief those out of there. Yeah. And then, as I recall, this is like 10 o'clock in the morning.
It's pretty early.
We had went we're in Frankfurt, right? We were at Buffalo Trace just before this, and then we hit that one. So it was very, very early for us. And then here's a different angle of us being able to thief.
14.9 proof. Just missed it.
That one is really good.
That's really
Really
good.
good. Yeah.
Apparently everything was really good that morning. And then here I got a couple more little clips I want to share. Oh, let's get some wisdom from Shane. So Shane was one of the guys that went with us. He was in our recap episode.
Front's awesome. The finishes.
Stay with you, or does it fall off?
It stays. It's a fruit bomb on the front end. Back end, haven't figured out the back end yet, but it's a fruit bomb early. But it does linger.
And this one's number 3 on the list, right?
And then here's Mark getting him a little taste out of the 5th barrel, and that's the one that I have here. This green label rye. Take the audio out. The staff there was very helpful.
Oh man,
too.
they were great.
They were very helpful, very friendly.
Very accommodating, patient. Explained it all well. Yep.
And then finally we have me thieving the barrel.
That's all you get? Yeah. You got raw, man.
We're close to the bottom of the barrel.
You want me to like tip?
This is going to take a while.
I know. We'll be in the truck.
This is kind of anticlimactic. What's for lunch? Tune in to our 3-hour episode where Philip bottles his own.
So if you ever need a heckler when you go to Whiskey Thief, Jeremy will go with you.
I'm your man.
He'll go heckle you. And then, so it was just really fun. I want to kind of share one of the group pics I think you have. I'll put up this group pic of us standing in front of the barrels. But yeah, that was a fun experience. Yeah, here we go. Here's us in front of the barrels. All right, so I've been wanting to open this rye for a while, so let's open it up and see if it's as memorable as the day that I took 2 hours to thief it out of the barrel. So this rye here, it's a 95.5 mix, 7 years, thieved on 8/7/25, and 120.1 proof, uncut, unfiltered.
Can you show like all the charcoal? Like, will that show? If you hold up,
I think you can see all the charcoal in there. This is a pretty dark whiskey.
7 years will do that.
Yes. So let's give it a little taste. I've been itching to drink this one, but I definitely wanted to do it for the show. All right. I think I gave myself a little more. Maybe
That's all right.
Let me top you off.
No, it's I'm good. It's okay.
Oh wow, it still smells so good.
It does. So it's going to be on the hotter end for me at 120, but that's all right. I'll muscle it down.
So let me just go back to the smell. Like,
There it is.
yeah, I was waiting for it. Like, on that nose, I can smell that charred oak. I mean, I'm just getting a deep charred oak smell, sweet, spicy.
Yeah, I get a lot of spice. Sweet and spice, I do get that.
Definitely get that Kentucky hug going down.
Yeah, you definitely do. It's real peppery there on the finish,
Oh,
at least
yeah.
for me. So it's a little bit hot. You know, I'll admit it. It's on the hotter side for me.
Oh yeah.
It's not terrible, but it's just on the hotter side for me. But it's tasty.
Yeah, the aftertaste is still there. I mean, it stays with you. Man, it's a good pour, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good pour. And you got the bourbon, right? The bourbon, I remember the bourbon being really good. It had a high corn content, right?
I think so. Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at that chart. 'Cause I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head which barrel it was. I don't remember. Barrel 4. If that's what that means.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, barrel 4.
Yeah, 'cause I
then.
think mine's got a 5 on it.
Okay.
No, mine says R1, so it must be something different.
All right. Not sure. I mean, we have actually mine might have been 1 or 2 because the video of me doing it, I was further away from where you were. So.
Oh, you know what? I think you might. I
Yeah.
think you're right.
Not that it matters, but this is 115.9 proof. Yeah. Not rye.
Not a rye.
Yeah.
Well, either way, the juice is good. A little pricey to thief it. I think you pay for the experience.
You do, and even with the my wife, not in panic mode, but like, hey, take his credit card. Even when I showed her the pictures, it's cool. It's something you get to do every day.
Yeah.
And so to have that opportunity to go and just be able to have these stories and these pictures and these experiences when you're immersed in the hobby, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, especially with the group of guys we
right.
went with, and there was another couple there from Alabama that we were talking to.
That's right. Yeah.
And we were talking about all the places that we had visited, where we're fixing to visit, and all that. So it was, I mean, we get back to that, just the hobby and the grace and bourbon and
There's community in
the
it.
community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was really fun. So if you're ever up in that area, definitely want to hit Buffalo Trace. There's another couple around there that are must sees, but highly recommend.
Yeah, even if you don't thieve your own, it was still a cool experience.
Oh, yeah.
When I went, I had no plan to thieve my own because I knew, it was getting expensive for me. I was buying a lot of bottles.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go there and you're like seeing other people do it, and you're like, man, I'll never be able to do this. So like, you got to do it.
Yeah.
You got to do it. Now you pay for it, handsomely.
Yeah.
Comparatively speaking, but you'll be glad you did.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're ever up there, tell them that the Neat Disciples sent you.
Yeah, and they'll look at you like, what?
Like, who are those?
Exactly.
You chuckleheads. But
It was August 7th.
yeah, you remember last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely recommend the Whiskey Thief if you can
Yeah.
get it. I mean, I don't even think you can buy this in the store. I think you have to get it.
I think
there,
so.
right?
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Well, you could buy your own, or they bottle it.
Yeah, but I don't think they have it at the liquor store.
Right, I don't think so.
Yeah, so
I mean, it was a small operation.
yeah, so if you're in Kentucky, highly recommend right outside of Frankfurt. But yeah, hey, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
It was a great talk about Joseph. Look forward to the next one. Be sure to follow us. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, all at the Neat Disciples. Be sure to subscribe. Join our pages. Share with your friends. Trying to get the word out there, get more Neat Disciples on board. Mm-hmm. You can also email us at theneatdisciples@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And otherwise, we'll see you next time.
We will. Cheers, everybody.